Okay, so picture this. It's a crisp Sunday morning in Paris. You've got tourists lining up under that famous glass pyramid at the Louvre. But just around the corner, a team is about to pull off the most insane museum heist in modern French history. And this is that story, the 7-minute Louvre heist. So that's the big question, right? How on earth do you steal France's crown jewels in just 7 minutes? And no, this isn't some Hollywood movie plot. This really happened. October 19, 2025, broad daylight, at the world's most popular museum. A team of thieves pulled off a robbery with military-grade precision. Their target? Some of the most priceless artifacts in French history. The time they gave themselves? I mean, it's less time than it takes to make a cup of coffee. It's just wild. So let's get into it. How did they actually do it? The whole operation was so clean, so unbelievably fast, it really seemed flawless. Like a textbook operation that left the entire world just staring, with their jaws on the floor and French officials scrambling. The timing here is just breathtaking. Look at this, 9:30 a.m. Just 30 minutes after the museum opens its doors, they show up in a stolen truck, dressed like construction workers. By 9:32, 2 minutes later, they're already up on a balcony, using an angle grinder to cut through a window. 3 minutes after that, they're inside, smashing display cases. And by 9:37 a.m., just 7 minutes after they arrived, they're gone, zipping away on scooters. I mean, it was absolute clockwork. Meanwhile, inside the museum, it was just total chaos. Alarms are blaring. One tour guide, Ryan Alandari, said he heard this weird stomping noise, then saw staff just running and screaming for everyone to evacuate. Tourists were freaking out, running in a panic. Most of them probably thought it was a fire, maybe even a terror attack. They had absolutely no idea they were right in the middle of a massive heist. And this is what they were after. We're not just talking about some sparkly jewels. These are massive pieces of French history. The sapphire set of Queen Marie Amélie, the emerald set that Napoleon himself gave to Empress Marie-Louise, and the diamond-covered treasures of Empress Eugenie. 9 pieces of literally incalculable value just stuffed into some bags and gone in minutes. So the first question on everyone's mind was, were these thieves just criminal masterminds, or was the Louvre just that easy to rob? And the answer, as it turns out, is a little bit of both, and it's all rooted in a pretty long history of the museum dropping the ball on security. Yeah, this wasn't exactly the Louvre's first security disaster. Back in 1911, the Mona Lisa itself was famously swiped by a former employee. Then, in 1998, a painting was literally cut right out of its frame and it's never been seen again. And, even more telling, a police audit back in 2021 basically screamed that the museum was full of holes, warnings that were pretty much ignored. And this chart really tells you everything you need to know. A leaked security audit showed that in the Denon wing, the very wing where the robbery happened, a shocking 35% of the rooms had no cameras at all, just nothing. A massive blind spot that you can bet the thieves knew all about. So you see, it all added up to a complete, perfect storm of failure. You had unions screaming about understaffing for years, with almost 200 security jobs cut. The cameras they did have were old, partly analog, and get this, the museum's legal permit to even operate its camera system had expired months before the heist. And with all the construction going on, the thieves in their vests, they just blended right in. Okay, so the jewels are gone. The focus immediately shifts to this desperate, high-stakes investigation. The clock is officially ticking, and every single second is gonna count. Officially, they put the value of the stolen goods at about 88 million euros. But French officials were really quick to say that, look, that number is basically meaningless. The real loss here is the heritage value, which you just can't measure. You can't put a price tag on this kind of history. So what happens next? Well, the experts were kind of split. On one side, you have the famous art detective Arthur Brand, who basically predicted the worst-case scenario. The thieves would just break everything down, melt the gold, and sell the loose gems. But then you have a former jewel thief, Larry Lawton, who thought maybe, just maybe, they'd keep one piece intact to try and ransom it back to the government. But that urgency was terrifyingly real. As Arthur Brand put it, the police had about a week. 1 week. If they didn't get a break in the case by then, the chances of ever seeing those jewels again in one piece would drop to basically zero. They'd just be gone, vanished, forever. So these thieves, they planned everything so carefully. They exploited every single weakness the Louvre had. I mean, they really seemed like criminal geniuses. But in their rush to get away, they made some pretty amateur mistakes. See, in all that chaos of trying to escape, setting their truck on fire, grabbing the bags, jumping on scooters, they got sloppy. And that sloppiness, that was gonna be their downfall. They left what was basically a forensic gold mine for investigators. Power tools, a walkie-talkie, gloves, and here's the kicker, a helmet. They even dropped one of the stolen items, the crown of Empress Eugenie, on their way out. Every single one of these things was a potential DNA jackpot. And that's exactly what happened. Police found trace amounts of DNA inside that helmet. They ran it through their database and boom, they got a hit, a known jewel thief. From there, it was just classic police work. They put him under surveillance, tracked his whole network, and then they made their move. And get this, on Sunday, October 26th, exactly 1 week to the day of the heist, right on that deadline Arthur Brenda talked about, police moved in. The first suspect was nabbed at the airport, trying to get on a flight to Algeria. The second one was caught right after. The net was closing in, and fast. Now, the arrests were a huge win for the French police, for sure. But here's the grim part of the story. Catching the thieves doesn't actually mean the crime is solved. So here's where we are today. In total, 7 people have been arrested. 4 are being charged as the main suspects. 1 member of that core team is still out there somewhere. But the most important number is this: 8 of the 9 stolen treasures are still missing. This whole heist is a perfect example of this really chilling trend called commodity theft. See, modern thieves aren't like what you see in the movies. They're not art lovers. They're just opportunists who look at a priceless crown and see, a pile of gold and some diamonds. They break it all down, melt it, and sell the pieces, completely erasing its identity for untraceable cash. And that right there is the ultimate tragedy of this whole thing. The people who did it might end up in prison, but the history they stole is probably gone forever. When the Mona Lisa was stolen, they got it back in one piece. But when you melt down a crown, well, there's nothing left to get back. And that leaves us with this final, pretty sobering thought from one stolen art expert. The Louvre heist wasn't just a French problem. It was a massive warning shot to every museum and cultural institution on the planet. And it raises a really terrifying question. If the world's most famous museum is this vulnerable, is anything really safe?